Welcome to Crushing with Abby O. I'm your host and body optimization coach, Abby O'Sullivan. I am passionate about helping you navigate your health and self-love journey, and I'll be sharing all of the secrets on utilizing nutrition, movement, stress management, mindset, and more in order to help you fit self-care into any moment of your day. We are going to bust through the health and fitness industry bullshit. We're going to have a laugh, and we might even cry sometimes, but then we're going to crush our day. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so excited to have you here. Let's go. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Crushing with Abby O. Lately, I've been thinking about how I ended up in like a next level of my health and fitness and wellness journey. Like there was a point where I realized like it was just progress. All of a sudden, things feel comfortable. Things don't feel so hard. I don't feel so much resistance anymore. I'm not in this cycle of like on and off and feeling shitty and guilty about it when I'm off. How did I get there? And so I want to share with you what I know helped me get to those next levels and what happened once that happened. What were my goals then, right? Normally when we're starting out a health and fitness journey, especially if you didn't grow up in sports like I didn't, I wasn't really that active in my 20s, just kind of worked and did my thing and did a few home videos from time to time, but it wasn't something that I really took all that seriously. It wasn't something that I was all that interested in until I got into my 30s, like post-divorce. I was seeing clients who were personal trainers, instructors, CrossFitters, and I don't know if that sort of influenced me and gave me the inspiration to start to look after my own health and get into the gym. It might have been several different types of things. I do know that at that point in my life, I was going out a lot on the weekends. I was going out a lot on the weekends, hanging out, drinking, like having so much fun, really. And then during the week, I was working my ass off and I was sitting a lot, very sedentary job doing lashes. And then I would, maybe grab dinner or drinks with a friend. And I wasn't like a big weekday drinker. I think I used to get made fun of for how long it took me to drink one beer. But it was just, I was just enjoying life. I was just going out having fun, not really hanging out by myself at home, except for Sundays when I didn't really feel that good because maybe I partied too hard the night before. So it was like, listen, like my early 30s were like most people's 20s because I spent most of my 20s in a relationship or married, whatever. So let's get back to the point here. Let me start with what I think is the beginning, is when you are, whether you're starting your health journey now, whether you're looking to further your progress, whether you're just starting with a coach or whether you've been with a coach for a while, staying open-minded and coachable is so key. It's so key because like if you're constantly like questioning and challenging and resisting, you're not going to get anywhere. You didn't sign up for this to stay in the same fucking place, right? So I do trust that you're working with a coach that is in alignment for you and your goals, and you all have the bigger picture in mind, right? This isn't someone who like is going to take you down maybe a path that leads you away from what your actual goal is. Do your research, get referrals, but you do have to give your trust to the process, to their process, to them leading you and guiding you, right? And you do have to trust yourself as well. You have to give that trust to yourself that you're going to execute as best as you can, and you're going to be open-minded to the changes that you're going to see, open-minded to the things that they might suggest for you. The thing is it sounds really simple to say like, be open-minded and coachable. That sounds so simple, right? But when your coach suggests things that go against the grain of what you have been conditioned to think about health, diet, exercise, They go against what you've normally done to lose weight. Should that be, diets or 30-day challenges or Xing out carbs? Like, they might suggest to you to eat more food. They might suggest to you to dial back the intensity of your workouts. They might suggest that you look deeper into the stories or the blocks that you might have around exercising less or eating more food or taking care of yourself or carbs or whatever it is. It might be that they suggest more rest, more play. Like, oh, how am I going to hit my goals if I'm sleeping all the time? I mean, sleep is incredibly underrated. Like what difference is walking going to do? I mean, go try it, right? So just be open-minded. You have to be open-minded to doing things differently than you have before in order to stop feeling however it is you feel right now. And that could be just feeling like kind of stuck where you're at, like you want to make some more progress. You could be in actual pain. There could be actual, like, imminent, immediate issues right now that you're dealing with. And it could be just, I've made a bunch of progress and I'm still feeling like my consistency is kind of like, I'm still not seeing the results I want. Like, how can I be more open to something different? Like, what can I do next, right? There's different levels of that. So just take that however it applies to you. And I'll let you know that, like, I've done this myself over the years. I've just trusted trainers for years and years, just like kick my butt in the workouts. Like, this is what I want. I trust that you will give me the workout that I need in order to get there. I have had some pretty hard, fast goals at some points in my life. Mostly it was just to feel better about myself, feel stronger. And I just realized I liked lifting weights and it felt fun and it felt good. And I liked the feeling of being strong and I liked building my muscles and I liked being part of that crowd too, right? Like, it's fun, like when you find a gym community. And there's been times when I'm like, I want to fit into this dress. And then there came my gut health repair journey that taught me so much. And it really nails this point home of being open-minded and coachable, because I knew going into this, because I was around people in the industry and I understood the process enough. And this is when I was really dealing with eczema badly, crying at my kitchen counter at the end of the day. We were wearing masks at work. Like, my face was so itchy. My self-esteem was in the dumps. My moods were really like up and down. I was not in a good place, like emotionally, mentally, physically. I was just kind of like bare minimum taking care of myself. I was just not on my norm. I felt completely so far away from myself. And just that really wrecked how I felt about myself, and my face just itched so damn bad, like there was actual physical pain happening. And I knew once I took that step that I would be changing my life, and I would have to change my lifestyle. I had to fucking change my lifestyle. I was going to have to step up. I was going to have to trust this coach. I was going to have to give myself over to the process and just execute the damn plan. Especially when you're dealing with like hormones or gut health, like autoimmune conditions, when you're dealing with something that's a little bit more advanced in that health way, in that physical way. And it could be more than that. It could be, like different issues, but like more deeper health issues. You just have to, or nothing is going to change. And it could get worse. I mean, if I just let myself keep going like that, I don't know how I would be existing. Like, I just was a shell to me. I could put on a good front, but in myself, I knew I was a shell of a person. I was just really, really struggling. So I knew I would have to give myself over to this process and just execute the plan. It's like a weight lifted too, to step into that, to know this person is going to help me take care of this. All I have to do is follow the plan. That's all I have to do. And I'm going to feel better. What a weight lifted, right? to have somebody that's there to guide you and mentor you and kind of, lead you lightly by the hand through this process. It doesn't have to be this like, oh, I have a coach, like, God, they're going to put the smack down on me. They're going to put the smack down on me. I mean, there's definitely some trainers and some coaches out there that are like that. And sometimes you do need the little like slap upside your head, like, wake up, But never violence, never being put down. You don't deserve to be patronized. You don't deserve to be talked back to in a way that makes you feel like shit about yourself. I'm definitely not saying that. That's what coaching should be though, right? Like it should be this partnership. You two are working together. They have your best interest in mind and they are in integrity. That's the kind of coach I want for you. That's a coach I try to be. And you want to be able to feel like you can trust them with this. And I know it's hard because there's been a lot of diets. There's been a lot of, boot camps. There's been a lot of shitty coaches. There's been a lot of shitty people saying stuff to you that just made you feel worse about whatever, like your progress, not making progress, how much you lift or don't lift, whether you eat carbs or don't eat carbs, or whether you like, cheese sticks or whatever. Like, people just have so much to say about things that don't really matter, honestly. I got off on a tangent, like surprise, surprise, my squirrel brain took over. But I just felt really passionately about that. And I really feel fortunate to have worked with the coach that I did, because she really took me through the whole process. And if I had questions, she just explained it all to me, because yes, be open-minded and coachable, but that doesn't mean you can't have questions. That doesn't mean you can't ask why, because if you're curious, then have them explain it to you. There's going to be things that you don't know or understand because that's not what you went to school for. Or that's not what you've studied. Or maybe you don't spend a lot of time on Google, looking up anatomy and gut health processes and how your digestive system works and how you can progressively lift to build muscle. Maybe you don't Google those things like your coach does. So it's natural for you to have questions, totally natural for you to have questions, and they should be able to answer them, we want you to feel like you are involved in this process. And I think that having that knowledge is empowering and it's helpful. Some people don't really care and they just kind of just tell me what to do and they're totally fine with it. And some people really like to understand that root level, that the base process, why am I doing this? It certainly helps me when I know why something might be coming up for me or why we might be doing things this way. I'm just curious, and it helps me to apply myself to it better, right? And to just understand the process of what's going on. So I would say my gut health repair journey was such a good example of being open-minded to something different and coachable. So here's why, because I had to get my shit together in terms of my diet. I was not feeding myself very well. I was depending on more convenience foods. I wasn't even really eating enough at the time. And you might be thinking well, but you love health and fitness. So why was that? Why were you so completely off track? And I honestly really couldn't tell you, but it's one of those types of things. It's the gut and the brain are very connected. And the further I got into that, it was like a cycle of being unable to get out. And then my neurochemistry was jacked up too by what I was feeling, what I was telling myself, the physical pain and the foods that I was eating. And I think I was moving. I was still going to the gym a little bit, but it was very much, there was an imbalance going on. That's what I know for me, right? I know there's a lot of information on this as well, the gut-brain axis, but that's what I know is true for me. I had to be open to changing what I was eating, how I was eating, and follow the plan that I was given. And then I also had to be open to scaling back intensity in my workouts, no matter how boss I felt, no matter how good I felt. When we are trying to heal the body, we do not need to add additional stress to the body in terms of inflammation, which from training isn't necessarily a bad inflammation, but we just don't need to have a ton more. Does that make sense? We don't need to add fuel to the fire when the body is trying to heal itself. So I really leaned into walking and lower intensity workouts and going like 2 or 3 times. My body felt a little softer, but my energy was amazing, you guys. Like my energy was so good. My skin cleared up so fucking fast. Within 2 weeks, my skin was so much better than it had been for like about 3 or 4 months. And I felt so much better. And I was feeding myself again. And I was sleeping well, and I was waking up like just feeling so good. It was literally night and day. And if I had been closed off to that, if I had been like, no, I'm still going to go to the gym and like bust my ass, I have so much energy now, I could have just delayed my progress in my healing. If I had said, no, like I still want to have my latte every single day, or like, you know, a few times a week, instead of giving up coffee when it was actually making me feel bad. And once I added in tons of vegetables and lean proteins and like was eating again, my skin changed so fast. And if I had just said like, no, you know what, fuck that, like I could probably just go ahead and keep doing some of this, I would have just been delaying my own progress, you know? So why not just give in, trust the process, and try to make it through quicker? So, and obviously every gut health repair journey is different. Like, just side note, what mine looked like may not be what yours look like should you go through something like that too. It's, everyone is individual, right? And also the gut health repair journey brought a deeper, for me, it brought a deeper appreciation for the healing power of food. It taught me that it's more than just chicken and rice and chicken and sweet potatoes. And like, I don't need to be adding protein powder to like every single thing, right? It got me out of like kind of this bodybuilder mentality and into like, oh, we can have like all the vegetables and they can be good and they're so great for your energy and your microbiome and like your digestion. Your poop is so much better now. Like, we're not having attacks. That's great. Like, we love not having poop attacks. This is awesome. So it just really opened my mind, and it deepened my appreciation for food. It brought me a whole new level of a whole new perspective of health, right? Like a whole new perspective. And that really made me feel like, wow, I just grew so much that experience. You know, I could have been really sad that I had to give up all this stuff for a while. I could have been really sad that I couldn't drink and I couldn't do this. And I'm not saying it wasn't hard at times, but boy, I was like, I would rather do that than be crying on my floor about my face any day. I'd rather be doing that than feel like shit and want to sleep all day and not have any energy and feel like poop about myself. I'd rather do that any day. So it just depends on how great your pain is, right? So I think that about covers it on being open-minded and coachable, because it leads into these other things, right? Because of that journey, I then wanted to look into my hormones, and I ended up getting a Dutch test. And the stuff isn't inexpensive either. Like, it does take some investment monetarily to fix shit that's going on in your health. Whether that's just hiring a coach or joining a gym or picking up new weights for your home gym or getting some testing done, like, the shit costs money. And you definitely have to be ready for that and just understand that your health is irreplaceable. Like, if you don't feel good, like, what's the point, right? Why would we not want to take some time and some money to invest in making ourselves feel better? I feel like I think people are so used to feeling like shit, they don't even know how good they could feel. I definitely do know that. When I would tell clients that I felt fine, I didn't feel fine. I was just like being polite, right? Like, I don't want to depress you, but I actually feel like dying inside. But it's fine. It's fine. It's good. No, when I was actually feeling better, I genuinely felt better. And I knew I felt better. I felt that difference. And I just want that for you too. So let's keep moving because I spent a lot of time on that one. I mean, I actually didn't think I would talk that long about it, but I did. All right. So you're welcome. The next one I think is really cool because I didn't even like realize this for quite a while. I've just really been thinking about these things lately. And so it goes back to like, yes, I've had physical goals, aesthetic goals, and I still do from time to time, but that's not what drives my consistency anymore. Like my on and off patterns have stopped for several reasons, and one of them being is that my drive, the consistency is driven by something deeper than just the next goal. It's driven by not by heart pumping motivation to get in there and like kill every workout and like show everyone who's boss. Were my workouts ever driven? I mean, maybe, maybe sometimes. And the consistency isn't driven by aesthetic goals. It is driven by a deep knowing that this is what feels good for me and my body. This is how I feel my best mentally, physically, and emotionally. And I'll do what I need to do in order to keep that up. That's what my consistency is driven by. It's driven by not feeling like stiff and achy from sitting. So I move. It's driven by me living up 4 flights of stairs and wanting to be able to carry all my shit up by myself. It's driven by the times that I've had to pack up my life and move really quickly and carry a lot of boxes and stuff down steps or elevators or carry it or whatever by myself. It's just driven by like future old me, future me that needs to be able to get up off the toilet by herself. It's just driven by knowing that this is what's best for me. It's good for me. It's not bad for you. Building muscle is one of the best things you can do for your longevity in your life. Absolutely. It's great for many, many reasons. Really for just living a good, long life where you can take care of yourself and you feel spry physically. I want to be able to get up off the floor. I want to have some fun in the sack with a partner eventually in my life. And if I have strong quads, then I can do a lot of squats. You can take that however you want. I don't care. I like seeing the shape. I like seeing the shape of my muscles. I like feeling strong. And it's just interesting that maturity comes. And I think that happens for a lot of people, is that you just realize, yeah, man, I really was driven by like PRing and getting stronger and like always trying to just feel like, a badass. And it helps me blow off steam. And, like I want to fit into this dress, or I want to, whatever people's goals are. I want to win the race or the competition. Like, I don't know. I don't do any of that. So there's all kinds of goals, right? But in the end, for me now, it's just a deep knowing of that this is what feels good for me and my body. So moving on, and this one might be more of the beginning. And I've touched on it a little bit already. And it is saying fuck this to staying in pain or being in pain. I'm not saying that we dismiss our emotions and just like, I don't feel pain and just like, override, bypass. I just mean that sometimes the pain has to be unbearable in every facet before you just finally decide that enough is enough. I'm choosing a new way of life. Just like I was talking about with my gut health journey, it might be different for you. I've also felt this way when I ended up going into deeper emotional healing too. What kept me on and off with my consistency was being in a little pain over in this area, but not really much over there. So I just didn't really have to deal with it, right? Like probably where I'm not in pain is going to override that because it's just like, it's normal. It seems silly, but it's true. And it wasn't until the pain was literally making me burst into tears or having anxiety for days on end, like anxiety attacks, staying in my house crying, It wasn't until I realized like how far I felt from myself. That's when I knew the next step would be life-changing. It was when I was finally tired of that. When I was finally tired of feeling like I was stuck in the same place, like I wasn't making any progress. And, it could open you up to deeper healing as well. And I've talked about this before on the podcast, my own like emotional work that I've done. In several episodes, I believe. It's what inspired me to redo my coaching program and how I coach people, because it's been so transformative for my life. And the next point that I want to make is that you got to have a desire to keep growing. I mean, yeah, you can just kind of hang out where you are forever and make a certain amount of progress and you can totally be fine with that. Like, that's totally fair. But if you want to keep making progress, if you want to keep evolving and growing, and maybe you want to build more muscle, or you really want to figure out, how can I get rid of that last 5 pounds, if that should be your goal? Or maybe you're feeling some resistance, like, let's talk about this. Because if you have a desire to keep growing, like, there's going to be some physical change, right? Via training and nutrition. There's going to be emotional, physical, and mental shifts, especially if you're open to them, if you're being open-minded and coachable. But if you're allowing them in, like, you've seen that, you've seen those stories, you've experienced that yourself as you get farther into your health and fitness journey, like, things shift. You're like, oh, I think about things differently. I have a different type of discipline. This is really cool. I didn't know this about myself. But maybe you might reach a point where you feel like everything should be good, but you're still feeling some resistance around, like, maybe you're not even sure what it is, and you're not really sure what to do about that. Like, you've made so much progress, but you're not really sure how to keep growing. And that could be it could be feeling like resistance or wanting to shift more, or have more acceptance with food or body image or exercise, like still working on that diet mindset, or what it is that you think you should be doing, or, what will that mean about you if you step more fully into that? Like, if you become even more of a gym rat, or if you become more invested in your health, what's that going to mean about you? Oh my God, what are people going to think of me? Maybe you're running into that type of stuff. Like, are people going to think that I'm just like a health nut? Am I going to lose friends because I don't want to drink anymore? Oh my gosh, you guys, that shit's real. It's real. And it's something that a lot of people deal with, especially, I don't know, let's just hang out there for a minute, especially when it comes to drinking, because it's so socially acceptable to put toxins like that in your body. I'm not saying I don't like to drink. It's just that it's so part of like our social culture, I guess, to, go to happy hour, have drinks. And like, if you're not drinking, you're not fun. Like, people put a lot of shit on you about that. People will project onto you, and you don't owe them a single fucking explanation. If you don't want to drink, you don't want to drink. If you don't want to have cake, you don't want to have cake. If you don't want to eat pizza or pasta or whatever, that does not make you weird. That's just you honoring whatever it is that you like or don't like. Now, if there's like a fear around it for some reason, like that's not why you're, eating pizza or pasta, we can talk about that. That's a little different. But you don't have to like want Oreos just as badly as other people. That doesn't have to be your vice, right? So maybe there's some like stories that seem to come up for you. Maybe there's some resistance to trying to eat more when your coach is trying to help you get to the place where you want to be, and that's the way. Maybe there's some patterns. Maybe there's a little bit of like self-sabotage that starts to come up, and you're like, I see this now. And I want you to get curious about that resistance that comes up for you. I want you to get curious about these patterns as you start to become aware of them. Like, what happens when you're faced with a new uncomfortable challenge? Or when you get super stressed out? Do you feel like you freeze? Do you give in and you just kind of like pacify that? Okay, I'll have a drink. Fine. Like, yes, Karen, I'll eat your cake. Like, even though it sucks. Do you want to run away? Are you a flight type of person? And avoid? Do you want to just throw a blanket over it and like pretend that it doesn't exist? Do you want to fight with people? Do you want to get confrontational with people? Do you want to get angry about it? Like what comes up for you? What would happen if instead you took an opportunity to explore it and open yourself up to healing and feeling the emotions that come along with it instead of pushing it away or combating it? What if you could break through, and that breakthrough brought you more clarity and more trust and more knowing in yourself and more confidence and more acceptance and more appreciation for who you are? What if it made you feel like more whole within yourself instead of you being fragments of other people and their ideas and their opinions and blah, blah, blah? Like, what if it brought you more back to who you are without all of that noise? Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be super cool? Break on through to the other side. You're welcome. You're so welcome for all of this. I'm on a roll today. So I talked about some of the concepts. I'm going to talk about like the very specific things that I said. That I did. I'm just going to run through them. So I've hired personal trainers. I've asked for help. I've asked for help and I've hired personal trainers, and I have let them make my workouts, and I've showed up for it. I've complained a little bit, but I usually do the work. I did get to a point where I would let them know, like, I'm not into jumping. Don't fucking make me do burpees. And, like maybe there's like one other thing I won't do. Other than that, I'm good to go. I've done hormone testing, and I've worked on my hormones a little bit. I've, taken supplements every day to do these types of things. I've taken tests, peed on strips. I've gone through gut health repair journey. I would do that again in a heartbeat. I would take any other tests that I need to find out more information. I do track my cycle. I've done things to help that as well. Like when I was in my gut health repair, we talked about my period, and I've taken supplements for that, like just chaseberry. I'm not like saying as a whole big thing, but I monitor that as well. It's important to me. I've done a lot of work emotionally to look into my limiting beliefs and stories. I've taken steps to, I don't want to say like heal, but to improve relationships because of that. Heal, improve, it was kind of the same, right? It's made me want to continue being kinder to myself, being more accepting of myself, being more forgiving, and allowing myself to be human and others as well. Empathy. I've grown up a little bit. Stop projecting your shit so much onto other people. Way better stress management strategies. So much better at managing stress. The nervous system work, the identification of all of that stuff, and then the tools in the nervous system work have been key to where I am right now. I'm not saying that I don't still have challenges. I do. It's just how I'm managing all of it now. It's the awareness that I have around all of that and what comes up for me, and being curious about it and wondering where it's coming from and how can I work through this? How can I acknowledge it? How can I shift the story? Like, what's actually happening, right? And how can I just keep moving forward? How can I move through it? How can I move forward? I'm not going to sit here and say like, I never have a bad day. I fucking do. I have like moments where I cry a little bit in the middle of the day and just release that emotion. I don't have to be afraid of it. It's just a little releasing of emotions. Emotions aren't bad. They're what make us human, right? So it's scary. Oh, don't show your emotions ever. Like, God, how many people were raised that way? Oh, nope. Emotions, avoid. Man, it's funny, but it's not, right? It's really not. It's actually really not. um, I've done a lot of work in that area, and I'm lucky to have had a coach that really helped me through that too. I did not do this alone. Should have mentioned that before. I've not done a lot of this by myself. I've had coaches, right? Maybe that was obvious, but I didn't say it. I've had personal trainers, I've had coaches. I've had someone help me through my entire gut health repair and hormone stuff. I've had someone send me macro plans and take me through a diet phase. Yes, I've had coaches, and I've had a coach that helped me with that deeper emotional healing, and that held space for me and provided feedback and tools and support to help me be able to regulate my nervous system better manually, and then like it come more automatically, so that like the first thing that I don't think about is food. It's like, how can I breathe through this? How can I take some space and some time? What do I need? It's not food. It's not alcohol. Like, those aren't my automatic response. I'm stressed. I'm going to get a bottle of wine. I mean, I still drink wine. I still, well, we can talk about stress and food like a whole nother episode, because I have a lot of thoughts about that, and I don't have them put together in a coherent manner for you at this point. But I have talked about this quite a bit with just people like individually, and kind of how I manage that right now. No, so like my stress management strategies are totally different, and I feel so much better knowing that I have access to so many more tools that actually do allow me to feel better and not feel worse. And then learning how to scale back in intensity for better recovery. Oh, you know what this also applies to? Work. Not hustling and hustling and hustling until I am burnt the fuck and fried out. That really helps. And also, I've never really been like a big HIIT person, but I know that can be a big issue for people, is that they like really love those HIIT workouts, and it's actually adding so much stress to their already very stressful lives and stressed out bodies. So scaling back in intensity, even if it just means I have like a lighter or slower lifting session, it doesn't have to be about me like going hard every single time I go to the gym. I want to challenge myself, but it has to be appropriate for what's going on in my life as well. Getting more rest, allowing more stillness and silence, getting outside, scaling back on intensity, getting outside, going for a walk, being in the sunshine, and then eating appropriately for my goals. So not only 1,200 calories a day, not skipping my protein, not eating fast food 3 times a day. That's not appropriate for my goals. It's not appropriate for my goals. So you take that and do with that what you will. If I want to build muscle, if you want to build muscle, you got to eat some food. Might we have to look at the quality? We might have to look at the quality, because there's a difference in satiation, nutrition standpoints. I already said I've asked for help. I've set boundaries, and boundaries are not to just like put a wall around you. It's to honor your worth, your time, and your energy, and the things that you need to accomplish. That's what boundaries are for, so that you can reach your goals without like so much distraction and getting lost in whatever else other people want for you, need from you. I've set non-negotiables in my life, standards, and just a continuous desire to grow, continuous desire to, just allow things to become a natural part of my life. So trying things out, allowing myself to fuck up, and then also to keep pushing forward. So there we go. We've mastered the basics, we've gotten started. We're eating a little bit healthier. We're working out pretty consistent. We're making time for self-care. How do we reach the next level? And those are the things that I want you to consider. That doesn't mean like all of that is going to be what you have to do, like all the hormone testing, all the gut health, like all of that stuff. It doesn't mean that is necessarily like your path. It's what I did when I needed to reach a new level, when I needed to defeat the big boss that was standing in front of me and make it to the next stage. Those are some of the things that propelled me forward. Hiring coaches, going through some testing to figure out what was really wrong, doing some emotional work, hiring another coach for that. And that is a continuous growth-oriented area as well. And, you know, sorry, but not sorry. It had nothing to do really with how much water I drink. It wasn't so much about the workout splits or the macro plans. I wasn't really like the next level. I did realize I was more advanced and had mastered basics whenever I could take on a more advanced dieting strategy. But that's not something I need to do year round in order to keep, you know, making progress. It's all this other stuff. So that's what I've got for you today. I hope that it provided you some insight on how to reach the next level in your health and fitness and self-care journey. And I will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to Crushing with Abio. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review. As always, you can connect with me on Instagram at Coach Abio or drop me an email at hello@crushingpodcast.com.